We've all been there, standing in the middle of a decision, knowing that whatever choice we make could lead to regret. But why do we regret certain decisions more than others? Why do we look back and wonder what we could have done differently? It's a question that has puzzled psychologists for years. And today, we're going to explore the psychology behind why we regret and how we can better understand our biggest mistakes. Let's dive into some fascinating research that sheds light on this. A well-known study conducted by Dr. Gilbert at Harvard University in 2004 explored the nature of regret and its connection to the human ability to imagine alternate outcomes. Dr. Gilbert's research demonstrated that people tend to regret actions more when they believe they could have done something differently. The study, which involved over 2,000 participants, found that when people were asked about past regrets, the majority of them were about things they had done, rather than things they hadn't done. The feeling of, if only I had made a different choice, was more intense than the feeling of, I regret not doing this at all. It turns out, we experience more regret over actions taken, because we have the ability to vividly imagine alternate scenarios. This fascinating research helps explain why many of us struggle with regret. It's not just about the mistake we made, but the endless possibilities that could have played out had we made another choice. It's like replaying a movie over and over again, imagining what could have been, and each time, it seems more painful. But what can we take away from this? How can we apply this knowledge to our daily lives? Here's a practical tip. When you're making a big decision, take a moment to pause and focus on what's within your control. Ask yourself, what will I regret more, taking action or staying where I am? Recognizing that action can lead to more vivid counterfactual thinking can help you make peace with the choices you make. In the moment, you may feel doubt, but understanding that our minds often amplify the outcomes we didn't choose can help reduce the intensity of regret. Another study that offers incredible insight into the psychology of regret was conducted by Dr. Neal Roese, a professor of psychology at the University of Illinois in 2005. His research examined how people feel about their choices based on the timing of their decisions. He discovered that we tend to regret missed opportunities more as time passes. Dr. Roe's study focused on a sample of 1,200 participants who reflected on their past decisions over a period of 5 years. The findings were clear. People were more likely to regret things they didn't do, rather than things they had done, especially as time passed. This phenomenon is known as anticipated regret. What does this mean for us in our everyday lives? It's a reminder that the fear of regret often keeps us stuck. The longer we wait, the more regret we might feel for never having taken action. So, whenever you're standing at a crossroads, remember that not taking the leap may lead to deeper regret as time goes on. Take the chance, and even if things don't turn out perfectly, the satisfaction of taking action will often outweigh the burden of wondering, what if? At this point, I'd like to take a moment to mention the research paper, a channel dedicated to empowering minds with research-backed wisdom. Through studies like these, we can unlock valuable insights that not only help us understand our regrets but also take charge of our decisions moving forward. Lastly, there's another pivotal study by Dr. Michael S. Gazzaniga, a neuroscientist, who in 2009 explored the brain's role in regret. His research, conducted at the University of California, involved over 500 participants and discovered that the brain's emotional centers light up when we experience regret, making it one of the most intensely felt emotions. Interestingly, his work showed that the act of decision-making itself activates our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for thinking through consequences. However, regret isn't just a thought, it's an emotion. The intensity of regret comes from the emotional responses linked to it, which are stored in the amygdala. It's not just the thought of what could have been, but the feeling that comes with it, making regret a deeply emotional experience. So, how can we use this research to minimize regret in our lives? Knowing that our emotional responses to regret are so powerful, it's essential to build emotional resilience. When you face a difficult decision, try to detach your emotional reaction from your thought process. Take a step back and approach the situation with a clear mind, knowing that your brain is working hard to process the emotional weight of your choices. By acknowledging this, you can start to separate the intensity of the emotion from the reality of the decision. This way, you reduce the chances of making hasty decisions driven by emotion, leading to a more thoughtful, regret-free life. By practicing emotional regulation and mindfulness, you give yourself the space to make decisions with greater clarity and confidence, free from the overwhelming weight of regret. Understanding regret is key to overcoming it. With these research-backed insights, you now have tools to navigate regret more effectively. The next time you face a difficult choice, take a deep breath, consider the alternatives, and give yourself the grace to make mistakes without being overwhelmed by them.